Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host. Not sure if I'm number 5 or number 6, but either way, I'm Garrett Ray. And joining me, as always, it's my good friend. He does not have ridiculous veneers, which means you know you can trust him. It's Andy Delia.
Thank you, Garrett.
Welcome back to the show. Real quick, just up top, want to say sorry last week's episode is a week and a half, 2 weeks late, whatever. Life fell apart. Everything's fine now, though. God is good.
Yeah, so, what happened to the monkey?
Well, see, we can either make fun of me for not getting it out on time, or alternatively, we can say it's on theme for the monkey because it's like life. It's never in the timetable that you want it to be.
Drew's going to make fun of you about the monkey.
Well, Drew can make fun of me as much as he wants. I think we've earned that.
Yeah.
But that being said, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
If this is your first time joining us, basically here's how the show works.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry, and we hope that your day gets better from here. Like, listen to the whole thing, but after that, we hope it gets better.
Yes.
But yeah, basically we do a spoiler-free review of this week's movie right up front, and then we jump into spoilers, and then we'll get into movie news, and we actually have a little bit of Internet Movie of the Week stuff this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just kind of get you caught up on what's going on in the entertainment world, at least the parts we care about, which means they're the parts you should care about, because we are, of course, two white men with microphones, which means we are your betters.
So it's generally the funny stuff that we find on the internet that we just laugh hysterically at.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, so this week we are talking about the new movie from Bong Joon Ho.
Yep.
I said that really correctly.
I always get it wrong, so
I'm like nervous every time now
because I was practicing it all this morning when I was opening
you
up
just
the
hit
theater.
the shower. Bong Joon Ho. Bong Joon Ho. Soap in my eye. Bong Joon Ho.
Seriously, that's what I was doing. And my wife, Jessica, was like, "Are you chanting?" I'm like, "No, I'm trying to get this guy's name right until we get to the podcast. I don't screw it up."
She's like, "Well, you summoned something in the kitchen, so you need to."
Yeah, breakfast.
Oh, nice. But yeah, it's a new movie from Bong Joon Ho. It is based on the 2022 novel Mickey 7.
Right.
And stars Robert Pattinson, Naomi Ackie, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. And basically the principle is that the main character needs to get off of Earth, so he joins an expedition to the planet Niflheim and he joins as an expendable, so he can actually get his way onto the ship because he's trying to run away from some trouble. And basically his job is to die so they can study what happens when he dies.
And then get put into a human Xerox machine.
Yes, get printed out.
That's about the best way I can describe it.
Every time he dies, they Xerox another one. Yeah. And, it's funny. Printers actually have, and this is a super cool thing I learned. Maybe not. It's probably pretty lame. But it's on printers now, they print on every page an almost completely invisible little speck of yellow on color printers. So you can identify what printer a page is printed from. Yep. Insane. And I just got to wonder, if they did that with humans, like, would you give them a third nipple in a different spot? What would you do?
I thought it was funny when the copies would come out of this machine. They would come out and back up and come out and back up.
I giggled
just like a copy
every
machine.
time.
I thought that was awesome.
Oh, it's so funny. All right. Well, we always start with your thoughts, so we'll start there. Good, bad, great, or terrible. Andy, where are you sitting on Mickey 17?
I'm sitting with a good.
Okay.
I wish I could give it great. I have some problems with this movie.
Okay.
But I did like it overall. I thought it was good.
Yeah. I also am probably sitting at a good. I was really struggling with it because like I wanted to love so much of it, and there's some stuff about how that I think direction wise, Bong Joon Ho is so good, and there's moments where like a different director would go completely over the top with a camera move or whatever, and he just tilts a little bit, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's economical and it works and it's great.
I think my big problem with this is the writing.
I think I'd have to agree with you too. And then there's also, and this is definitely your mileage may vary. In this movie, there's a very clear political thing being drawn. Not,
and I said this last night when I got home with my wife. I said, I wonder if they purposely changed the release date to after the inauguration to really like lay into
maybe so
our current government administration.
The thing is, though, they would have made this before that election had gone through. Yeah, but either way, they're drawing a very specific line, and it's even I think the trouble that I had with it is even if I agree with the points they're making, they were so heavy-handed and like it just was. It wasn't entertaining and it wasn't thought-provoking. It was just like, I get it.
And and that's where it almost falls into the Paul Feig trap, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Where you take a good joke and you beat it to death.
Right, yeah.
And it's not needed. And in that respect, too, I thought about at least 30 minutes of this movie could have been cut down.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it just went off on those tangents a little bit to the point that I got a little bit bored at times. But the whole purpose of the film I liked. And I like Bong Joon Ho and I like what he does.
Yeah.
It's just when it got to the duplicates, that's where I think it kind of went off the rails.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt the second half, maybe the last third of the movie is where I was like,
yeah, and
because that's when it really lingers on the message of the movie, I suppose. But that being said, like everything before that, I was loving. I think the VFX are incredible, like practically seamless. Which
even
is something
the creepers I like.
I love them so much. I love the design. They're like intimidating, but also cute and cuddly. And I loved the whole story of them like learning about, this creature through Mickey, who's too stupid to realize he should report this specific thing. And all of that. I loved so much of that. And I think Robert Pattinson's performance is so interesting and weird and fun.
I think this is the best thing he's done.
He's really good.
I really liked him in this.
I love his weird little voice.
Yeah, I did too. And normally, going to Adam Sandler and like Little Nicky and the stuff where he does that and it's annoying.
Yeah.
This I think fit the character so well that I didn't mind it.
Yeah, and it's a weird voice, but it's not over the top. It's just like he's this squirrely, weaselly little guy. And so it works.
So I know you have a problem with like narration during film too. Did this bother you?
No.
Okay, good.
And because I was actually sitting there thinking about this, I was like, normally this is like the death knell, tolling on the bell.
Right, because I know you've kind of hammered on that in the past. No pun intended.
I think that there's a difference between someone presenting a movie where the character is going to give you information consistently. And then a movie where it starts off with that because they couldn't figure out how to open it and give you the information. And so there's always the threat of that in the back of my mind when something starts with narration. But I do feel like I try to give it a chance, and it's consistent enough with this movie that it feels like part of its identity instead of it being oh God, we forgot to shoot the film where the part where he says his name. Somebody get him in the booth. Somebody get him in the booth right now. Oh my gosh. Like, it wasn't a last minute decision. I think at the very least, it feels like an intentional, this is how we were always going to tell this story.
Right.
And so it didn't bother me in that. And I like I said, I just liked his weird little voice. So every time he would be like, yeah, come on. And it's just, I'm like, you probably could have done that with a facial expression, but I'm kind of just enjoying being in your head.
I'm glad that he's at least gotten away from Twilight, which
yes.
Initially I really didn't like him because of that.
Nobody did. He says now, like, because of the Batman, he's like, it's really weird. There's guys that are fans of me, because it used to just be girls and guys hated me.
Yeah, because
that's fair.
Suck.
They're so bad.
Yeah, I've always said that. Like, vampires do not shimmer in sunlight; they explode.
Yes,
as well as they're supposed to.
I love it when they explode.
But even like the kind of 9/11 film he did, Remember Me Too, and that was okay, but it was very heavy-handed, I thought.
Yeah, I think it certainly has the shock factor at the end if you're not aware of it. But it's like,
but then
this story didn't have to have that.
I started to like him more with Tenet. Like, I really like Tenet.
Yeah, I like Tenet too. I wish I could hear what he said.
Yeah, so I wonder what the Odyssey like sound level is going to be like when that comes out.
I think what you're going to hear is just Matt Damon going, and the waves crashing on the side of the ship going, and he'll be like, you just don't get it.
they've started to release like photos from the set of that now too, and I like how it looks. And
I saw someone though post like there was a Family Guy skit, and they said it's bad that Family Guy has more historically accurate time period armor than Christopher Nolan's movie does, and they're right.
That's funny. Gladiator was probably more.
Yeah, and they had sharks in there, which Romans had never even seen. Right. Romans don't know what sharks are. I'm a historian.
That was the dumbest criticism I heard about that film. I really just had to laugh at it every time I heard it.
And Denzel Washington dies in he looks so pitiful.
With that fart
that's
face.
So good. I know, right? I love a good fart death. You know, the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, fantastic. The old guy dies with a stab in the butt and a fart.
Yeah,
fantastic. Best moment. I mean, the only thing better is Nicolas Cage as a mole in G-Force, as we all know, the world's best movie. But.
Okay.
But yeah, this one it has some. I think Bong Joon Ho's whole film catalog is talking about class. It's talking about this separation between those who are who the haves and the have-nots, and so on and so forth. It's very much something that he focuses on in his film Snowpiercer, which was already doing that from the graphic novel. Like that's what it was always about. Parasite,
big time. Like it's very easy to see that, and it continues in this one. And I like the fact that it does that. It doesn't bother me. It's just it gets a little much after a while to that I get a little bored.
Yeah, and it's definitely, like this is not a spoiler, but there's the guy from the church, which is actually the company, and sometimes they're like the church, and so like there's this whole undertone of like, religious organizations are actually just businesses that run things from behind the scenes, yada yada, and it's like, okay, I get it, and
I thought that was cool.
I'm not saying there aren't places like that, but most of the churches I've gone to have no sway in public politics, and they're just like...
It's called the Salvation Army.
Well, it's called Scientology.
That too.
And we're dead.
Tom Cruise will never listen to us.
He's going to fly it. He's going to grab onto the side of a jet, rip the cockpit off, steer it into the building, and then jump off and parachute down as he watches us burn.
As long as he's in like his Les Grossman outfit, that I can...
Okay, I'm okay with going out that way. It's like, you have face.
I still wish he would do that standalone film with that character.
That would be so fun. Yeah. Because, I think one of the reasons it's so satisfying to watch not Nicolas Cage, watch Tom Cruise in that role is because you're like, he's finally being himself. Anyway,
that not taking himself that seriously.
Yes, yeah. He's such a serious... Lighten up, dude. Lighten up.
Yeah, it's like, I know you were mad because of the mummy, but come on.
I love that trailer where it doesn't have any of the sound effects except him screaming. It's fantastic. Best trailer ever.
I never saw that, actually.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, I got to find that and send it to you.
Well, I never saw the mummy either, so.
Not good. Not good.
I figure it couldn't be, like, I really like the Brendan Fraser ones.
Yes.
Even the third one that had Jet Li in it, which a lot of people kind of bash, but I do like that one. I think
most people... Their biggest problem with it is the recasting of the
Rachel Weisz,
and it's like, I can get that because they had such good chemistry.
And Maria Bello just has like the worst English accent ever. And I like Maria Bello too, but just it didn't mesh that well.
But I just don't think though that she has the same goodwill as Dick Van Dyke with his bad Cockney accent. Like he's still lovable. I don't know if she is, but this movie. It's got a lot of stuff going on in it that we're getting into the spoilers, but basically I would say like if you're the kind of person who gets annoyed by very blunt political allegories being taken, it's probably going to annoy you. And I tend to fall into that camp mostly because I'm just like, I get it. I don't have the patience for this. I'm here to escape. Like I live this. Don't make me watch it here.
But the thing that rescues this film is just such an original sci-fi idea and story,
and the characters are so weird and off.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me. Like I couldn't come out of there saying that I hated it. I didn't like it, but it's a solid good for me.
Yeah.
It's just I have. Like once the duplicates or what did they call
multiples?
Multiples, thank you. shortly after that, I think is when it kind of gets off the rails a little bit.
All right. Well, tell you what. We'll say both solid, good, and we'll get into spoilers and if you like Bong Joon Ho's movies, I think you'll like this.
Yeah.
Some people are saying that this is his least good film, but even Bong Joon Ho's like pizza. Even if it's not good pizza, it's still pizza.
I'm curious, the people that said that, what did they think of The Host?
Because loved it.
Kind of like that too.
Well, I love The Host. I think The Host is fantastic.
It's a great monster movie. Yeah, it really is.
And I honestly, I'd like to see more of that. But,
yeah. I'm kind of hoping like the next project that he gets is a little bit more along those lines.
Yeah, I think like he's made his point here.
Yeah.
So, at this point, like do something fun, for yourself and for the rest of us.
Well, and the other thing too, last year at CinemaCon, they came up and presented that Pattinson and Bong Joon Ho. They had a translator for him because his English is still a little shaky.
Yeah.
And, the main thing they
said...
So
is mine. I can't speak English. I only speak American, and it is not the same.
The thing that they mentioned that the original title of the book is Mickey 7.
Yes.
And Bong Joon Ho said that, well, I wanted to kill Rob Pattinson 10 more times. That's how it ended up being Mickey 17. And after watching this, I'm like, maybe you should have just stuck to Mickey 7.
Really?
Yeah.
I see, that first half of the movie is where a lot of those happened, and I was just like, this is fun.
Yeah, no, I sat there laughing, I think, more than you did.
Yeah, I think so. Although I laughed at some moments that were probably completely inappropriate because you did not laugh, and I felt bad.
No, just because I don't laugh, don't feel bad.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll never feel bad again.
Okay, good.
All right. You want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Let's talk spoilers. All right, spoilers ahead for Mickey 17, that movie that came out 3 times this year, but is for real this time.
Yeah, kept moving around and traded places with Sinners, and
yep.
I'm still looking forward to that.
Oh, I'm looking forward to Sinners.
Haven't been confirmed for that yet here, but I'm waiting.
You want to go show up at their house? I'll do it. And be like, give us Sinners. Give them to us. It's something we actually say at church a lot. Give us the sinners. We want to help them.
Well, initially we weren't going to get Alto Nights.
Yes, and now you are.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers widened their release pattern on that, which I made the joke last night when I told you that, saying that, one of the executives actually saw it and said, hey, this is a good film. We need to get to as many theaters as we can.
We should probably put one of those out. What do you guys say? Yeah. I know it's a radical idea. But all right, so you said you had some problems with when the multiples come in. So
I do.
Spoilers, blah blah blah. Yeah, what is it that you felt about that?
I think the pacing slows down quite a bit, and then I think it goes way more political than it needs to be, and then the whole thing with the creepers, like as much as I like that story and I like the characters or the creature itself. Yeah. I just think it dragged on and needed to you've made your joke, you've made your point, now move on and get this. This movie actually could have been like an hour and 45 minutes, I think. And still would have had
how long is it? It's
220.
Ooh, yeah, 137 minutes.
Yeah.
Is what it says there. Yeah. Yeah, that's and like it didn't feel like it I wasn't sitting there going, oh, when will this be over? But I was sitting there going like, okay, you have 9 different jokes about Orange Man bad. You could probably cut that down to 2 and be better for it,
right?
And the other thing too is, and this is very much a me note, not a general note. But I think that Mark Ruffalo is one of the most insufferable human beings on the internet. Like he's so obnoxious about it, and he's so self-righteous about it. And I'm just like, I don't like listening to this. And then this movie was just him going like, I'm going to make fun of Trump with some veneer. And I think they just couldn't get him to stop on set.
I just like the fact that they made this, kind of dictatorish uber politician.
Yeah.
And he couldn't make a single decision without his wife's consultation.
Yeah. And you know what? In most situations, I would say that's a wise man consulting his wife. But she was obsessed with Persian rugs and sauces. What was that?
Yeah, I didn't quite. That must be an Asian thing.
Her her opinion on stuff is that sauces is what separates the riffraff from those of society.
Yeah, but then that whole dinner sequence where Mickey won the right to have dinner with them, and he's sucking up what looks like a raw piece of fish.
Yeah, because they said that cooked meat is like it's of the barbarians or something like that. I'm like, no, cooked meat is how you get the pathogens to die before you ingest it.
I was like, well, obviously nobody from Texas was on that ship because the girl would have been coming along with them.
It would have been like, I'll sacrifice my own kid for a cooked steak. I tell you what, like, he may be the steak. I don't know, but whatever. I got the grill heated up, and somebody bring some corn.
The best was when they're in the cafeteria and you first see it's a flamethrower looking tube, and it just plops out on their tray.
The gray slime.
I was like, I was like,
not that dissimilar from what we were fed in public school when I was there.
Yeah,
honestly,
I'm like, that makes prison food look good.
Thanks, Obama. Remember when that was a joke? I missed that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it was. I will say, like, production design and everything. I love that.
It's very good.
This has that kind of lived-in feel, like Star Wars does in a lot of ways.
I actually kind of likened it a lot to Blade Runner.
Yes.
It gives me the same aesthetic and feel that Blade Runner did.
It's like Blade Runner, but just 100 years back. You know, like before anyone was like, all right, well, let's put holograms all over everything to cover up that this is ugly. Like, it was just like, nah, it's still ugly, but, you know, we got a talk show, so that's good. So I thought that the production design was really good. I thought that
and the acting is good.
The acting is good. Nasha is not like, it's not the world's greatest love story, but it's better than what we got in Love Hurts.
Yeah.
So that had set my expectations really low for love stories, and I was like, yeah, this is serviceable.
I still like the fact that the company logo is on everything, including her bra.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, the company logo's everywhere, and I think that there is absolutely a reason to talk about people being fanatical followers of a leader of any sort. You know, it's stupid.
Oh, yeah, because that's everybody on that ship.
Yeah.
And I almost look at it too as like, these are the refugees from WALL-E.
Yeah,
because that's about what.
Yeah,
they're just as dumb. They're just as mindless.
Yeah,
and
I mean, the one guy is really begging to get on the ship, ends up dressed up as a pigeon the whole time.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, bird brain.
the two smartest guys are Rob Pattinson and the guy that he went on with,
Tito. Yeah,
yeah, because he ends up running his own drug trade.
Right? How do you even do that in space?
Well, that's even. There's been several films done with that. Outland that Sean Connery did was about, he was a marshal in a ship not too dissimilar from the one in Mickey 17.
Very nice use of the word dissimilar, by the way. Love it.
Thank you.
I love that word. I don't know why.
I have a good vocabulary some days.
Very good. I like your words. I like your funny words, Magic
F-bombs.
Man. Well.
But yeah, he's the marshal and takes on Peter Boyle. The late Peter Boyle is the company guy that's running drugs through this space station.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't figure out how they were ingesting the drug at first because it's in a capsule about yay big, it's green, and they were saying like that's the most purest form. And I was like, well, what do they do? Inject it in the skin, and then they show them in vaping it and inhaling it.
Yeah, they just snort it, which cannot be good for your septum.
But there was like 3 different ways that they showed in how they ingested this drug too that I couldn't quite make
wasn't there a
sense of.
bong in the bedroom?
Yeah, I'm
not talking about the director.
Well, that's what I was referring to initially with the vaporizing.
Right, yeah. But then like when Mickey's in the cell, this was a very funny moment where I don't remember exactly the circumstances, but they just cut to him quickly and he's snorting and goes,
yeah.
And like, yeah, there's lots of little character moments in there which are great, and I enjoyed all that. The Tito as a character is like, he's that slimy friend that you have, and if you're likely to be taken advantage of, those are the kind of guys who are going to do it, and so that works.
So then the whole reason too they end up on the ship and going to space is the two of them try to start this macaroon business that they get a loan from a gangster that will follow you to the ends of the earth, as he proves in the beginning of the film to collect his money. And they figured the only way to get away from this guy is to go into deep space.
Yep.
And sure enough, they still get found.
It's a great setup.
It is.
Like, I love that. And I love that, like, macaroons are not a sin is like on their shirts. Like there's all that little stuff that I'm so enamored with, like filmmaking as a craft, because doing those little things and making it fun while building the world is like, it's hard to do that well.
Right.
And Bong Joon Ho really does that.
Right.
And it's great. But then on the other hand, the villain's just like, look, an over the top comically bad villain can be really fun. It's just not by the halfway point in this one.
Do you think if they had somebody else beside Mark Ruffalo, it would have been a little bit better? Because
I thought about that.
This is the second time I've seen Mark Ruffalo play almost the same kind of role within 2 years. Like, there's Poor Things, and then there was this thing where these characters are kind of similar.
Yeah,
they're not likable, to begin with. That's the first thing.
And it's not. I'm not like upset with him for playing an unlikable character.
No,
I was sitting there going, you're so on your sleeve wearing what your influence is that I don't think you're doing anything with this character. You're just trying to channel something. Go, look at me, I'm doing politics. No, and I'm just like, whoop de frickin' do. You want a cookie? Like
you're taking my lines now. Thank you.
I've learned. I'm getting the New York snark.
Yep.
But yeah, I wondered about that, like with a different character, but I don't think that would have made a huge difference. I think a lot of the issue is that they linger on it so long and they really try to hammer it in, and it should be funny, but it's not.
And that's where I tend to think it drags.
Yeah.
And it just needed to be tightened up a little bit.
Yeah, that last half, like, I think he would be more. I think it would be more interesting if, like, he almost seems competent the whole way through until you get to the end and you find out how much of a Weasley mess he is.
Yeah.
And then like maybe the dinner scene is where that really starts to come through, and he's put on this good front the whole time, but then you see that he's really like, he's insecure, and he's like, wife, hey, am I doing okay? Should I go hard? And she's like, yeah, go hard. And like, you start to see the cracks. I think that would have been more interesting. And I definitely think that, the point that they're making about not trying to take things from indigenous people and trying to be a peacemaker rather than a warlord and all of these things, like, I don't disagree with you on that. It's not, I don't have a problem with your points.
Mm-hmm.
Just have enough faith in me to go, like, yeah, I get it, and not waste a half an hour of my time of just him just chewing on those veneers, Yeah,
but it was almost kind of like, well, when did this turn into Avatar?
Yes.
And that's where I was like,
And I think the story is fine. I think the execution in the second half is messy, and like I like the whole idea of her having to catch the baby with her teeth and all of that stuff.
Right.
But it didn't need to be that long.
Yeah. And see, now you're seeing my point is why I thought about a half hour of this film could have been cut.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's so as far as like time goes, it's not economical in that place. Mm-hmm. But then when they first get attacked by that creeper in the cave, like there's this moment where you would think they would do like a bunch of shots of them like trying to shoot at the thing and it's dodging and showing how much of a threat it is and yada yada yada.
Right.
But they just show a top-down shot of her firing at this thing as it runs away, and the camera just does this little tilt up. And super economical for time, but you totally get the whole thing. And it's like, why didn't you do that in the dialogue?
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only thing. And that being said, I still kind of love like the first half of this movie.
Right. No, I do too. But the problem is if I watch it again, I'll probably just watch up to that point and shut it off.
Yeah. Also, so this is where the real problem is for me. I think the ending just kind of squirts out a wet fart and is over. And why did he have a dream? So they have this thing where at the end, everything's fine, everything's good, and then Mickey's throwing away trash, and he hears something upstairs, and he goes up to where the human printer is, and he sees Toni Collette, who plays Ilfa. I will not be cutting that.
Alphabet.
The alphabet. So he goes up and he sees Wicked. I can't remember the actress's name. Oh well. So he goes up there and he sees her, and she's like reprinting she's reprinting Kenneth Marshall from, I guess, Blood, and that's the sauce. I don't know, but they just have him throw in the voiceover saying, when I was a kid, I used to have weird dreams, nightmares. And so I told him what this other guy told this other guy, F off. And then the dream's over. I'm like, this didn't need to be here.
Yeah.
What is this about?
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely saying I don't understand why that's in the movie. It doesn't add anything, and they don't talk about him having nightmares before. And this is where, this is a voiceover problem. They just try to throw it in there to give you the information. So you go, oh, well, that makes sense. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, no.
It didn't do anything. And, I guess they try to make a point. They're trying to make a point of, as she's printing Kenneth Marshall, she says, this is what you want. This is what you all want. And it's I guess she's talking about the need for subjugation, which even back in Bible times, Israel used to not have a king until everyone was like, we need a king to make decisions and stuff. And God was like, you don't want that. And they were like, yes, we do. And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay for it. And they were like, what do you know, God? And he was like, everything. And and so, I understand what the scene was trying to say, apropos of nothing else.
That should have been a DVD extra.
Yeah. Or they should have set up the nightmare stuff earlier.
Yeah.
So that, if they hint at that, because they hint at other stuff throughout the movie that pays off, but this one just has no...
There needed to be stuff in the second half, like the collage of his deaths at the beginning,
yes.
Or the situations where his hand gets chopped off and it's it's going through space.
The first 10 minutes of this movie are incredible.
And everybody's eating dinner, and then you see this hand flying by the window.
No one cares.
Nobody even stopped to eat their food. That was even nobody blinked.
Yeah.
And then the dialogue about, well, we need you to know about when is your flesh going to start to burn off.
Right, yeah.
Because you're being exposed to horrible amounts of radiation.
Yeah, they're like, medical, do you want to tell them? And they're like, so we sent you out there to die. And he's like, okay. And he just kind of accepts it. And I thought all of that was really fun. And yeah, like I said,
that's what's missing from the second half of this film.
It loses the irreverence. And I think one of my favorite parts about this movie, and one of my favorite things in comedy, is something that's incredible being treated as mundane. Like when they're printing Mickey and they forget to put out the roller for his bottle, for his body, and the first time he's upside down hanging out, and they come and lift him up and get him onto the rollers, and then it happens again, and I was laughing my butt off.
Too.
It was so funny, and then the second time they just let him completely flop butt naked onto the ground and stick stuff in his butt. Yeah. I was like, this is hilarious. This is this incredible technology, and they're like, oh, I forgot to put out the whatever. That's great. That's great stuff.
Because they're like, well, it's not like it's going to cause brain damage.
Right. And if it is, I'll just print another one.
Yeah, but just
how do they store his memories on a brick?
Yeah.
That feels like something that got cut to me. Because they said, it used to take hard drives of the size of Manhattan. But
or
now
refrigerator.
with this, a refrigerator. And they're like, but now with this little brick, it's amazing, isn't it? And I'm like, what's amazing? You didn't explain crap. Tell me what that's about.
Well, I guess they were just saying the evolution of technology got to that point where they could put that into a brick.
Did evolution evolve? The technology evolve, or did they just bricks could always do that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But if walls could talk, the memories they must have are insane.
So
at least not now with new construction. People don't use bricks now. It's just it's some composite board and Anyway, new construction's a terrible idea. Buy old houses. That's my financial advice for the week.
But I don't fault Bong Joon Ho for the second half. I think it's, like I said, the writers.
Well, but he wrote it.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, so this is the thing.
Okay, so I guess I can blame him.
So the screenplay is by him. It's based on Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton, and I'm actually I'm curious to go read Mickey 7
Yeah, me
now.
too.
Because I want to see how it what stuff was pulled from that. Is this second half a drag because that's what the book was? How close is it to that? But I definitely feel that it ends with this weird dream sequence that just does nothing for the whole story. I in my opinion, I would love to be corrected. Let us know at Grand Review Pod on Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
But the other part is that he blows up the human printer. They're like, it's been outlawed. I'm a British woman and I'm better.
And his girlfriend is now the leader.
Yes. And Hannah mentioned last night, she was like, so let me get this straight. Our hero's a druggie? That's who we're happy about being in charge at the end? And I was like, I guess. I mean, yeah, probably they all are, but I don't know. But the other thing, though, is that the last bit of dialogue is just a piddly little, like, I kind of feel bad. I can give the other Mickeys a chance to live, but I don't know. I got to not be guilty. It's okay to be happy. And then just cut to black. And I'm like, I don't need the Optimus Prime speech at the end of every movie.
Yeah,
we are here and we are waiting. But, something that feels a little bit more final, but is that the point of this? Is like they're saying the whole time that life is precious, but then at the end they're just like, it's kind of whatever, and that's how it feels like it ends.
Is it just like presenting a nihilistic viewpoint then at that point?
That's the question that I had. I don't feel it's being nihilistic. Like, it's saying there's purpose in the decisions we make and doing the right thing.
It's not as blatant as like the monkey was.
No, the monkey was the monkey's nihilism. Oh boy.
But there is a little bit of that toward the end of that. It's like, well, existence kind of sucks.
Yeah. And I did like the detail though on the podium. They adopted the creepers as as like a symbol for
I was wondering if anybody noticed that too beside me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's so neat. And like they didn't make a big deal out of it. It was just there. And I was like, but yeah, again, I love the design and I love that they revealed that the creepers were bluffing. They had no way to to make their heads explode. But the whole tension of that last act is just them going like, let's see if they'll fall for this. And that's it.
And then once again, your leaders are stupid.
Yep. And it's such a heartbreaking thing to be like, oh, it could have been great. It was real close for the first hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then it kind of wasn't. And
and that's where I can't, I really wanted to give this a great.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I can't.
If we had like, if this was on film and the film had burned halfway through and you saw the cellophane go up in flames, I would have been like, what a great movie.
Yeah.
But I got to the end and I'm like, it's good. So, oh well. I guess our review can piddle out since the movie did.
Yeah.
All right. You want to get
on
into
to movie news.
Well, let's talk about the Internet Movie of the Week because you have one.
Yeah, I do. So on Paramount Plus, I think it's the only place you can stream it right now, is a movie. I don't know if it's September 5th or September 5. I'm going with September 5. So it's the true story about
September 5.
Okay. It's the true story about the 1972 Munich Olympics where 11 Israeli athletes were taken hostage. So what this movie shows is the fight between ABC Sports and ABC News onto who's going to cover this event and how to handle it. So it's all the behind the scenes things. And the original footage is beautifully cut into this film.
Oh, really?
And it looks amazing. Like
cool.
You really buy it throughout and it's only like an hour and 35 minutes.
I got to see this.
And it is to the point. There's no wasted space and it's really good.
Sweet.
Because like stuff like that. So it's like The Insider, but short.
Merciful.
But to see that power struggle between ABC News and ABC Sports, because ABC Sports is like, well, we're here. We have the equipment. We have reporters.
Right.
And ABC News is like, you guys cover sports. You're not real reporters or journalists. And they're like, yeah, we are.
Well, and I mean, sports people generally do. And I used to not think this way, but I actually believe they now do less speculating than normal reporters. They're like, well, this guy will probably throw his coccyx out in the third round. And everyone's like, how would you know that? And then you go online and they're like, yeah, Kamala's going to win in a landslide. So who knows the future? None of you. Stop it.
Yeah, Peter Skarsgård is the main actor in that, and he's really good.
Yeah.
And it's, if anybody knows the real event, this isn't a spoiler that it ends badly. But
yeah.
I will... Yeah, definitely watch it. It's worth your time. Cool. It's not very long.
What's it on?
Paramount Plus.
Okay, so Paramount Plus, you can check out September 5.
Yeah.
And learn about
Really good.
the fact that these people who tell us what's going on in the world are just as petty as we are.
And this was back in 72.
I know, it's only gotten worse now.
I know.
Because they all have TikToks. Anyway.
Yeah, that's where the decline of Western civilization comes into play.
It did not help us. It did not help us.
And then there's like Maria that's migrating to China.
Red note. Don't go there. We never go there, Simba. Do you want to start with the best news?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, best news. Disney cancels the Snow White UK premiere amid mounting criticism.
Yeah, I told you that last night.
This is so funny.
This movie is just blowing up in Disney's face left and right.
Yes, it is. And so the director is Mark Webb, who's
actually done some good movies.
Yeah, so he did. Funny enough, he did The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Right.
He did 500 Days of Summer,
which I loved.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 ruined my graduation party.
Why is that?
Because I was really excited for it. I loved Andrew Garfield. I wanted to see the Green Goblin. I was like, this is going to be awesome. And I loved Electro from when I was a kid. It was always, he's such a dumb villain. And he's like portrayed as an idiot in the video games that I'd played. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. And then the movie was dumb instead of him being dumb. And I don't think it's Mark Webb's fault. I do want to say that. I think it's the script.
That's the writing.
What they shoved into it.
If you haven't seen 500 Days of Summer, that's a great romantic comedy.
I do need to see that one. It has been on the list forever.
It's very unconventional.
Okay.
Zoe Deschanel, and
fantastic.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah. It's awesome.
Okay. I need to go back and watch that. I also apparently because we're cursed to do this forever, we have to go watch Snow White when it comes out. But at least we don't have to listen to anything that's going to be said at a premiere in Britain because it's not happening.
I wonder if they'll cancel the US one now.
I think they would. I don't think they'll be able to. Simply because it's an American-made film, and you can get away with canceling some stuff for the international release a little bit
Disney's
easier.
Smart, they will. They just
but they're not.
That's true. That Disney that ruined me watching the Oscars last Sunday.
Yeah, you told me about
that. I was so mad. So
what was it? The last two categories, they were like, "Your event has ended." Thank you for watching.
Even the beginning, I missed the entire beginning. I finally got in. My account was shut out. I couldn't get in until they handed out the award for Best Animated Feature, and I was like, "Okay." So I missed the first couple, and then right before the last two awards, Best Actress and Best Picture, big green screen that comes up. Thank you for watching your program. It's over.
Good job. Literally biggest entertainment company in the world. You suck at your job.
So I restrained myself. I wrote a complaint to Hulu that I have yet to get a response on.
I'm sure they got a lot.
But how I explained it was, well, this is my business.
Yeah.
I need to, denying me that is this is my business. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And you guys screwed it up. And
do you know what this will do to the podcast, Disney?
Yeah, we're just going to, once again, the monkey on the trampoline at the dartboard. Is that what, that's must how they figured out, at this time, it comes off.
Yeah.
Regardless of when they're done or not.
How is there, and look, I have been a part of a couple of smaller scale, live production things. How is there no one in the multiple hundreds of people crew they had who went, hey, this is going a little bit long because Adrian Brody wouldn't shut up. Make sure you update that timetable.
The longest acceptance speech in Oscar history.
That mostly consisted of...
Yeah, I was so... Because I like Adrian Brody. I like The Brutalist.
Has he ever won an Academy Award before? Oh, okay. Well, then he has no excuse.
You're just doing this just to make me say The Pianist again.
No.
He won for that film.
For what?
The Pianist?
Jerk. Got you to say it again.
Suck.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Just like I saw it today in Apple on the $4.99 bargain bucket bin movies. Little Italy is in there.
Oh, that's not worth $4.99. No. I wouldn't pay free $99
I had to
for
mention that. I saw it this morning and just started laughing.
I am so sorry that I did that to you. It wasn't on purpose.
No, you're not.
I mean, a little bit.
No,
I would feel great if I had meant to do it. The problem is it wasn't intentional.
The even better one that I've seen online this week is the Thousand Beavers poster done like a Nora.
Oh, really?
And the quote at the top is, "Hey, it's less sexual than I thought it would be." And I've actually watched The Thousand Beavers on Amazon.
I saw it the other night, and we were looking for something like comfort food to watch, and I was like, that's going to be too weird and out there, I think. So we watched
not as much as you think.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we watched Paddington instead because my wife hadn't seen it. But yeah, we just had a nice evening, and I was like, I got to come back and watch 1,000 Beavers.
Yeah, it's something else. It's funny.
Well, that's good.
And it's intentionally funny too,
Sweet.
so that's even better.
Yeah, it's never good when it's funny not on purpose.
Yeah. But Adrian Brody, and how he did it was, trust me, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. But then, they stop playing the music, and then he's, if you're going to do that, have what you're going to say ready.
Yeah, don't you write these things out in anticipation of this happening? Like don't people write their speeches just in case?
I would think so. But
why would he write into it?
The guy that gets my standing ovation for the night is Sean Baker. The guy that had how many awards that he did, and that man knew what he was doing.
Yep.
So he's the writer of Anora, director, editor, and producer. And he took every award that he came up for. And
that's
then
incredible.
Mickey Madison took number 5 for that film too.
Yeah.
And his explanation of, and he had stats to back it up. He was like, the movie-going experience is dying, and we need to revitalize that. You need to go to movies. You need to stop streaming.
Yeah.
You need to watch everything in a big, grandiose way with speakers and sound and, the best way you possibly can, and not stream everything on your phone or your tablet. This is not the way to go. This is not what I make movies for.
Yeah.
I make movies, and I was like, that man gets me.
That's why Hulu cut it off.
Yeah, because he's not talking to Disney.
Yeah.
And he's like, every film that he's done, Tangerine, Florida Project, and Anora has been for Neon Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And Neon Pictures is almost getting to the point where they're an independent, and they will always be an independent, and they have that spirit about them for the movies that they put out.
Yeah.
And, some of the movies are really good, better, and some of them are, kind of fringe, especially like David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. That's a bit out there, even for me. But they put out like Ferrari with Adam Driver, that fantastic movie that unfortunately not a lot of people went to see. But, we got Anora this week. And I'm putting it at a special discount price of $5.50 a ticket for all the showtimes. I don't know if we're going to get anybody for it, but I'm very proud to be.
I'm hoping we can come and see it with you guys on Sunday. That's what I'm hoping to do.
I'm just wondering how much it's going to offend you.
I'm more offended by not having a second G-Force than anything, honestly.
Okay, that's twice in one podcast. That's too much.
I'm making up for the week we missed.
Okay. Well, if anybody asks too, the reason we didn't do a podcast last week is Focus Features can bite the big one because the one film that came out last week, Last Breath, that we really tried to get here at Grand Avenue and was told by the studio, no.
Yep.
And for really no good reason. So we didn't open anything new. And Garrett and I talked about it, and we were like, well, maybe we can do The Unbreakable Boy. Maybe we can do this. But we came to the conclusion that none of it's just going to be that interesting. Yeah.
And it was just a hectic week. So it was like, if there's a week to skip, it's this week.
It worked out good. Yeah. But then,
thanks for nothing, Focus.
They wouldn't give it to us. And all of us here we don't understand what the problem was. Even my film buyer was like, we don't know what happened. Yeah. But yet they come back and go, well, we have this movie on the 14th that you want to open, or that we want you to open. And I was like, nope, I don't care what it is. It could be the next Academy Award winning film. I'm not going to open it.
And what are they wanting you to open?
Black Bag.
That doesn't even sound like a movie.
Another Steven Soderbergh film, I might add.
Oh, no.
Because Presents, I could count on one hand how many people we had for the entire week.
Yep.
And this doesn't look much better. It's a spy thriller with Michael Fassbender, and the trailer for it does not look good.
It's going to be another snowman situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, at least we can rest. We can rest easy at night, knowing that Disney anticipated public backlash against Snow White and scaled down to a small press event. So that's good. Snow
I
White.
say just put it to Disney Plus at this point.
I say just bury it. Just bury it. I don't want to have to see it. I don't want to do it.
But that's bad for Mark Webb. But he's a good director. I don't know how he got roped into that.
I mean, look, there could be bits of it that are
redeemable.
Good directing.
Yeah, anything with Rachel Ziegler that doesn't have her.
Yeah, any scenes that don't have Rachel Ziegler in it. But there's no way this one makes its money back.
The dwarves just look, and this is making Joker Folia Doo look small in comparison with the budget.
Right?
Like it's going over $250 million.
That's
now.
insane.
And
it's because they had to reshoot a bunch of stuff because they had people who are of smaller stature playing the dwarves, and then that got backlash. So they hired other people of mixed races, and then that got backlash. So then they were like, you know what? Let's do an unholy abomination. That'll be better. And then they redid it again.
I mean, this movie altogether has been pushed around, set back, reshot for 2 years.
It's insane.
And
even Borderlands didn't have it this bad. Well,
and then the price tag on this kept going up and up and up every time it got delayed.
Yeah, not good.
No,
not good.
So
you know what is good?
What?
The Screamboat trailer.
I told you about this last night.
Okay, I was totally shocked. So I've seen the Screamboat trailer. I expected him to be a full-sized man mouse.
No,
he's a little mouse.
Right,
and that actually has made me go, this might be fun. Yeah, I love little things running around being a menace. Like
on the Staten Island ferry to boot,
right?
Which God knows what's running around on that. I've been on that.
Yeah, this actually might be the least of their problems is this tiny killer mouse. But we watched the trailer. It looks exactly as hokey and terrible as you can expect.
Oh yeah,
it is
even worse than Popeye's Revenge.
They drop it is a small world after all joke. Like they are there. There's no shame here, and I think we should bring back bullying. Jon Favreau is set to write and produce a TV series featuring Oswald the Lucky Rabbit at Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
and you know what? It's Favreau, so I'll give it a chance. I think he does enough good stuff that I'm like, yeah.
We're not going to get anything more from Kathleen Kennedy's Lucas.
I forgot the best news of the week.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy is gone.
Yeah, she stepped down as the head of Disney Lucasfilms.
Have they announced a replacement yet?
They have. I don't remember who it was, to be honest.
Okay. Let me pull this up.
As long as it's not her, that's...
Well, we say that, but there may be a day where... Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are top contenders to replace her, apparently, according to Google's
Favreau in there, please.
Dave Filoni, though, man, the stuff that he did with the Clone Wars and stuff. Now, I don't like that he's a very big proponent of the not Dagobah, but the witch part of the Force, and that's kind of led into some of this other stuff that we got with the Acolyte and things. But Dave Filoni in general, his handling of the Clone Wars series, which was like
it seemed like one.
Yeah, it seemed like I was not interested in it because I watched the movie when it came out in theaters and was like, this is not Star Wars. This is bad kids stuff. This is bad. I hate this. I don't like the designs. Everything is bad. It totally grew on me. Like when I was real sick when I started watching it, and the first season's pretty rough. But by the time you get into that third or fourth season, it really is trying to do the best Star Wars it can. And the development of the clones as characters and stuff is done really, really well. And there's some heartbreaking stories told throughout that series. And I think Dave Filoni is a good storyteller.
Okay.
So I would love to see.
I don't know too much about him. That's why I was like rooting for Favreau more than him.
If you like Star Wars, the Clone Wars, if you give it a chance, you'll get into it and be like, okay, I can see why people kind of got on board with this. But that being said, if you're not a big Star Wars fan, the first bit is a bit of a slog. It's a bit of a slog, and Ahsoka's very annoying at the beginning, but she grows as a character massively throughout the series. So,
and then I'm hoping going back to the big screen, April 25th is Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yes,
and I'm trying to get it here.
If you can get that here, Andy, I swear, I don't know what you want, but I'll get it for you.
Well, because my worry about that when I put it out there for a film buyer was I know we did Phantom Menace and it didn't do that great.
Yeah.
But no pun intended, but Revenge of the Sith is light years away from Phantom Menace.
Very good. Very good. Very good. That was, you were a couple parsecs ahead of me making that joke.
Yes. And
Did
just,
you know parsec's a measure of space, not time?
yeah.
It's a whole thing. Anyway.
But even though it's got Hayden Christensen in it, but that story is just so dark.
And that
And
shot of Obi-Wan and Anakin both grabbing each other's hands as they try to bring their lightsabers down, and the actual footage of a volcanic eruption behind them. It's my favorite shot in all of movies. That's my favorite shot. It's so good.
well, I remember I saw the thing on 60 Minutes they had with Lucas, like right before the film came out, and him showing how he did a lot of that stuff. It was just amazing.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings they're the reasons I love the craft of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like and Spider-Man's the reason I love the storytelling.
And not to mention too, like I know when I initially saw that film in the theater, that whole sequence where it's the transformation from Anakin to Darth, and that table comes up, like, and there's no sound, and you could have heard a pin drop in that theater when that scene happened. And I still, like, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up.
And one of the things that I love about it too is it was before the Marvel, everything is undercut by a joke. So that moment is treated with sincerity. And people make fun of it because it goes, no. But I'm like, yeah. That makes perfect sense. He lost her. Everything that he did was to save her. All he can do is scream in pain from both physically and emotionally. That makes perfect sense to me.
Right.
But they did fix a problem with it. Because in the trailer, you see his arms are up when he comes up on the table. And everyone was like, that looks dumb. And they were like, CG his arms down. and so that's why it looks a little weird. But yeah, I think episode 3, for all of the flaws of the prequel trilogy,
it's the best movie.
Pays off.
Yeah,
it's my favorite Star Wars.
Yep.
Like, it's so good, and it's the only one I ever got to see in theaters when it was out. So getting to relive that now would be.
I've seen all of them in theaters now.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Can I bring my Blu-rays and just rent out the theater in the morning?
Sure. I haven't heard this yet, but I'm hoping for IMAX release. We might have to take a road trip for that one.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah.
Fill my eyeballs with that lava.
Yeah.
Just burn them right out.
And that's probably the one that Christensen sucked the least.
Yes. Yep. I think it was like when he wasn't having to be the whiny kid and started to transition into that role. Like, he does really good at that part, and I wish he had been better in episode 2. But at the same time, his performance, as bad as some of the parts are, that's the dialogue's fault.
Yeah.
George Lucas can't write dialogue.
Well, if anything, I got merch coming to the theater for that, even if I don't get it.
Yes.
I got cups and I got Darth Vader head popcorn buckets on the way.
The Force is strong with this place.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. All right.
It helps I have an owner, too, that's a big Star Wars fan. So
yes, yeah.
He'll support anything I do with that.
Bless this place. So Alan Ritchson, he wants to play Batman real bad. So bad, in fact, he says, you won't even have to pay me. This is a terrible negotiating tactic.
Yeah.
I just want to say that.
Was Uwe Boll listening to that?
It's like, I've got the Dark Knight movie you can be in. Yeah, you want to come over here?
Yeah, honor me. We kick him to the curb.
We keep him. We don't care about this
Yeah, we
guy.
don't need him.
Yeah, he's a cannibal. We don't take that very nicely. No more. Not since the war. We try not to do the human crimes. Yeah. So come over here. Come on. I'll give you the ears. I'll give you the bat ears, and then I'll box them right off you.
Is it going to be like Dr. Strangelove, where Peter Sellers was like saluting and had to hold his arm down?
Yeah.
There's a great classic movie.
I've seen, like, I've never seen it all the way through, but I've seen all of it in bits and pieces.
It's the antithesis of like the Cold War paranoia.
Yeah.
And just makes fun of all of it.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. It's probably the best Kubrick film that he made.
Cool. Well, James Gunn, he came out publicly and said that Richardson is not playing Batman. And so Richardson's like, he's like, it's amazing about this rumor, and that he came out and publicly denied it. And this thing will not die. I get asked every day if I'm playing Batman. Would I play Batman? Yes. You wouldn't even have to pay me to be Batman. Yeah, I would don the suit. Gotham is mine. And I'm like, okay. I don't know if I like Alan Ritchson or not as a person, but I've heard he's really good in Reacher. So
Oh, well, there's a couple of things I've seen from him that I
He was in
haven't
The Gentleman, I think.
No, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
That one, yes.
He was good in that. And he was in Ordinary Angels with Hilary Swank, but I didn't see that as much as a lot of other people didn't either.
Yeah. I wanted to see it when I saw the trailer. I was like, this looks like it could be a really heartwarming
Two
story.
screens and nobody showed up.
Nobody showed up. Huh.
Nope.
Sorry, Angel Studios.
It was an Angel.
Oh, that's right.
That was Lionsgate.
Yeah, it was Lionsgate. So Warner Brothers, this will be fun. They filed a motion to dismiss a Superman lawsuit threatening the foreign release of the movie. So basically, here's the lowdown. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Mark Perry, nephew of late Superman co-creator Joe Shuster, filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers, arguing they don't have the rights to release Superman in many key territories outside of the U.S. As you'd expect, this is all from Joblo News. As you might expect, Warner Brothers is fighting back. The studio has now filed a motion to dismiss, claiming the courts have already rejected Perry's claims after his mother, Jean Peavy, is it Peary or Peavy? Whatever. Signed away all rights after Schuster's death in '92. So they're saying, hey, you can't do this because this was settled back in '92.
But she gave away the rights.
Right. That's what Warner Brothers is saying, but her son is saying that's not the case. They're
gonna look to sell this fast because that July 11th release date is gonna get close.
Yeah, and I think he's counting on a settlement. Just to get a little cash out of the producers, but
that's going to make like Warner Brothers' budget for the entire year is that movie.
Yes, it is. Mark Toberoff, which is the estate's lawyer, has argued that although Schuster and Jerome Siegel signed away rights to Superman in 1938 for a mere $130, the copyright laws of countries with the British legal tradition, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, contain provisions automatically terminating such assignments 25 years after an author's death, vesting in the Schuster estate the co-author's undivided copyright interest in such countries. So in these other countries, in America, fine, you have the rights, but in these other countries, no, you don't, because it's been more than 25 years since that agreement. So the suit continued. Schuster died in 92 and Siegel in 96. By operation of law, Schuster's foreign copyright automatically reverted to his estate in 2017 in most of these territories, and in 2021 in Canada. Yet defendants continued to exploit Superman across the jurisdictions without the Schuster estate's authorization, including in motion pictures, television series, and merchandise, in direct contravention to these countries' copyright laws, which require the consent of all joint copyright owners to do so. So Petrocelli responded saying that these claims aren't enforceable, and the 1992 agreement with Gene Peavy covers all rights, including foreign rights, saying there are no carve-outs in the controlling 1992 agreement for any foreign copyrights, much less for the copyrights in the 10 countries Peary now alleges in the complaint. So that's what's happening on that. If you're in Australia, sorry. Not just because of the movie thing, but because you're in Australia. The spiders, they try to kill you.
That's where I want to retire.
I mean, I love Australian comedians, and I listen to Australian podcasts all the time, but they won't let you own a gun, so that's no fun. I like the big shooty noise. It's fun.
Okay.
That's all. That's the only reason.
I want to go hang with kangaroos and koala bears and listen to Midnight Oil like 24 hours.
Okay, but if you've ever come face to face with a kangaroo, you'll be wondering why they outlawed the firearms. Because they're scary. Oh my gosh, they're scary. They're like bodybuilders who don't care about anything. They're terrifying. Neat creatures, though. So Adrian Brody is eyeing a role in Damien Chazelle's Evel Knievel movie, with Leonardo DiCaprio still in talks.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is at the top of the list. Adrian Brody's in the wings.
So are they both being considered for?
Well, DiCaprio has like top dog on that right now, but he's wavering a lot. So if he plays around enough, they got Adrian Brody probably lined up to take that. Because,
and right off the heels of an Academy Award win, that's not a bad move for him.
And it's like, so Leo, when was the last time you won an award, dude?
A while ago.
Yeah.
So remember that movie Wolves?
The one that we saw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was real good.
Yeah.
So the actor who played the Weasley kid, Austin Abrams, I'm not going to read any of the information on this past the headline. I just thought it was a hilarious headline.
Okay.
He's Austin Abrams to lead Brian Duffield's scuba diver versus sperm whale survival thriller, Whale Fall. And I can't imagine what
Moby Dick again?
I guess. I mean, it's a sperm whale, so it'd be apt. So that's happening. Longlight's director Osgood Perkins says F. Jeff Bezos when asked about directing a Bond film as Edward Berger loses interest in 007. How is it that all the people involved in James Bond are named after foods?
Well, here's the other thing, too. Jeff Bezos, like, if anybody doesn't know this, Amazon now has Amazon/MGM has the rights to the Bond series.
The Broccoli family's out.
Right. So apparently the Broccoli family like sat in on board meetings and everything and called Amazon executives a bunch of idiots. And that made Jeff Bezos mad. So he made sure that they got a fast exit out of everything to do with James Bond.
Oh.
So
I thought they left on purpose. Never mind.
No, the problem is that I worry now reading this stuff that they have control of this and Broccoli doesn't have any kind of input on it. I think her contributions to that whole series is what made it what it is.
Yeah.
And with now
it's kind of hit and miss a little bit, but it's consistently...
There are some better, but these last ones with Daniel Craig, they're all fantastic. They're really good.
Even Quantum of Solace was like fun for what it was, and that was done during a writer's strike.
Right.
It's a mess, but it works.
It's the worst one of the bunch.
Yeah.
But then it's better than half of the movies that come out now.
Yeah.
So you're exiting the class that gave that series what it is. It's the longest running movie series in movie history.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to destroy it. Yeah. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Good job, Amazon.
So The Rock is going to be like the next James Bond. That's not a fit, like, but that's how I'm looking at it.
I would see that just to make fun of it.
Yeah, but like the person that has been in talks to them as to play the role has been Henry Cavill. And
I'm perfect.
Right. And I'm really good about that. I would be perfectly okay with that. But I seriously think Amazon and MGM is going to screw that series up royally to the point that I'm not going to want to watch it anymore.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. And I'm also...
And it just makes me mad because those films have been... Like, I probably were seeing them with my parents when I was a little kid, maybe when I shouldn't have been, but...
You're not going to know what Octopussy means.
Well, I was a teenager when that came out.
Okay, you definitely knew what it meant then. It meant 8.
James Bond and Star Wars is like all my movie childhood.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, I don't get why people can't figure out how to just work on creative projects without being jerks.
So I'm curious to see what. So MGM Amazon does have a presentation at CinemaCon this year, and it was the night that I was actually going to blow it off and go see Motley Crue, but Motley Crue's residency got pushed to September because Vince Neil has to have throat surgery.
Ooh!
So now I got to go to it.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually kind of curious. Although our lobby looks like a big ad for them as it is, because the big bus shelters we have up, one is Accountant 2, which is them. The other one is a Working Man, which is them.
Yeah.
I should take a picture and send that to them.
Just be like, hey, this is what our lobby looks like right now. As a thank you for us being a big billboard for you, could you not screw up James Bond? Thanks.
Not so much that. Can I meet Ben Affleck?
I don't know, man. He looks real sad all the time. I don't know if it'd be fun.
He does, but I just want to tell him what a great director he is.
Well,
like he's a better director than he is an actor.
I think you're right. Yeah. Speaking of series that will be ruined by the giant companies that have gotten the rights, apparently, so The Chronicles of Narnia is a series dear to my heart.
Greta Gerwig's got control of that.
So Greta Gerwig, I've not seen any of her movies, I'll be honest. I've heard that people really enjoy what she does and that she has a lot of eye for detail and all that stuff. And here's the thing. They're apparently eyeing Charlie XCX to be the witch. And I'm just like...
No.
Okay. The thing about...
Tilda Swinton was perfect in that with those ones that Disney did.
She was. Yeah, Tilda Swinton was perfect.
That was great. Like, all those kids were awesome, too.
Yeah, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it is.
Adam Adamson, who directed Shrek, Why couldn't he do more of these?
But I like the other, like Prince Caspian, that was a financial failure, but it was a good film.
Yeah.
And The Voyage of the Dawn Treader that I really like too.
You know what? I have to disagree with you there. I hate The Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Really?
It looks like a soap opera. It completely throws out the whole like main premise of the book to add in some, we've got a green monster mist. Ooh. And Will Poulter's fantastic. He's a great choice for that role. He was really good. But that being said, I hate it. It didn't feel like the other ones, because a different director, but it didn't feel like it was part of the same world.
It was a different studio too.
Yes.
Disney dropped it and Fox picked it up.
And Prince Caspian is completely underappreciated. Look, the Prince Caspian book is not the most interesting one in the series.
But the movie was.
But the movie was fantastic. And I love the whole, this idea of the Telmer. You want to see a movie that has a dictator who sucks, but you're like, man, what a good representation. Prince Caspian.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and also it's where I learned the word respite. So respite, I suppose.
Respite.
It depends on how you, I've heard it both ways. But that's a psych reference for those of you who love that show. But I love that movie, and I think that the battle scenes in it and stuff, I was the right age to watch that and just go, holy crap. It was the second movie I ever bought on iTunes. I bought Horton Hears a Who, and then I bought Prince Caspian, and then I bought the fourth Indiana Jones. We don't have to talk about that. But I watched Prince Caspian 100 times on my iPod Touch. So many times. I freaking love that movie. And now we're going to get a Netflix version.
Yeah, that's not going to be nearly as good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess we can't blame Greta Gerwig, but I didn't like Barbie like everybody else did, but I'm a guy. So that's why that's not the reason why I didn't like it. It was uninteresting to me. But I did like her take on Little Women. I thought that was really good. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember what else she's done. Lady Bird.
Yes, Lady Bird.
The worst.
Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, I always screw up her name, but that film is really, really good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. What is it actually about? Is it like
a rebellious teenager in a Catholic grade school and the problems that she has with her mom? It's really good.
Okay, cool.
Watch that.
Okay. I need to, and I there's a part of me that still wants to see Barbie because I just love that she's like, they call me a fascist? I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce. I'm like, that's a pretty good joke.
I was on the Oppenheimer side of that track or a couple summers ago when that came out.
That makes sense.
Historical drama or fluff. Yeah, I went for the historical drama.
I definitely would pick anything that's not Will Ferrell over a movie with Will Ferrell.
Yeah. Except the one exception that both you and I agree on, and that's Stranger Than Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction's fantastic. His best performance.
It's not a typical Will Ferrell film.
Yeah, he's acting in it, and it was good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am not looking forward to this at all.
No.
But I will watch it just because I
won't.
I want to see what they do to it so I can complain accurately.
So I'll just listen to you on the podcast like I normally do and then go, I don't have to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, you why hurt yourself more? You've already seen Hard Eyes this year.
Oh.
I do have good news, though. I have some good news.
Hard Eyes is getting a sequel?
A Knight's Tale. No. I said good news. Okay. A Knight's Tale is getting a 4K Blu-ray release with extra content, and I will be picking this up because I love that movie.
Yeah.
So... Matthew Modine is joining the sequel to Godzilla X Kong, Cross Kong, whatever. Modine?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Matthew Modine.
Well, fine. Then I'm going to pull you up on Michael Fassbender, not Binder.
Whatever.
Whatever. No, but he's joined that movie. I don't think there's any details necessarily on what role he's playing, but I'm going to assume it's going to be a guy with white hair.
Yeah, I guess that's... Have you ever seen any of his other films?
No, I haven't. I've only seen him in Stranger Things. I don't really know that much about him.
Vision Quest, highly recommend.
Okay, Vision Quest.
That's one of my favorites he did. And then Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick's second best movie.
Yeah. After his first best, which is
Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah. Or How I Stopped Worrying and Learned to Love the Bomb.
The Bomb.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that title.
Especially if you've never seen anything by Peter Sellers, rest in peace. Just a comedic genius.
Yeah.
That film really proves it.
Okay, yeah, I need to see it all the way through.
Yeah, you should.
So, Night of the Zoopocalypse. Joe Blow News has reviewed this.
Are you picking on that because we opened it?
So yeah, it opened today, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at screenshots of this, and I wish these character designs could be washed from my soul. I'm sorry, but they look so freaking ugly. But apparently, the people from Joe Blow say this is the headline: a great animated film from someone other than Pixar or DreamWorks.
Really?
Yeah,
because it came in unencrypted. That was
right.
My whole thing. Like. Normally, if anybody doesn't know this, so a little peek inside the movie theater.
A peek behind the curtain, if you will.
Right. When movies come in, they come in via satellite, and they have to have encryption keys in order to play them. And they normally are set from a certain time to a certain time that they're valid.
Right.
So when we got Night of the Zoopocalypse over the satellite feed this week, it had no digital keys at all. And normally that's like danger.
Yeah.
Well, this movie is horrible.
It's essentially like... if you walk down a street and everyone's doors were locked, but one door was open, you wouldn't go into that house, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's what happens with bad movies. It's like good movie, door open, run. Good movie, good movie.
But it's the poster and everything says too, and I didn't look it up from the mind of Clive Barker that I really like. Like he made and wrote Hellraiser and
Really?
Yeah, Nightbreed, like some of the most bizarre horror films that I've ever seen.
His movies are described as, and I love this word, macabre.
They are.
But there's an R in there. The French are silly.
But he's not even French. He's British.
Oh, no, I just mean the word macabre.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a French word, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because you'd say, oh, that's macabre. But nope, macabre. The French also, though, are very, very open with just doing things on trains they shouldn't. Don't go on public transport in France. Don't do it.
Okay.
But yeah, this... It's a kids movie, so
it has the most pre-sales for today. Here.
I mean, I'm weirded out enough by this review that I think maybe I should see it just to see if it is fun.
Well, I know it's probably going to be Drew's next favorite film.
Yeah, probably. But I don't know. I'm looking at the design of this lion and his weird chest and the
trailer just looked so weird.
I need an exorcism for my eyes. This is ugly. Anyway, it might be good. Speaking of good things, this one isn't. Love Hurts gets a 4K collector's edition Blu-ray.
Why?
I don't know. You want it?
No.
Neither does anyone else.
I don't even want it like free off of a radio giveaway.
They'd be like, you want a free copy of Love Hurts.
You click.
All right. So I'm going to hang up now. This radio show's dead to me.
Yeah.
Amanda Seyfried thinks that there will be a Jennifer's Body sequel.
2. Yep.
Is that... She said, I didn't confirm it. I said, I think. But, people... It's got like a weird kind of cult following at this point. I remember when it came out, everyone was like, what is this?
It's not a bad movie. I kind of like it.
I know the story of it, but I've never seen it.
And the whole thing is that I thought was genius behind it is it made fun of the audience that was going to see it.
Yeah. Yep.
And it does it like pretty blatantly. It's not lightly subversive. It's really obvious.
Right. Yeah. And Diablo Cody, I think, has done some stuff that people really like.
Juno.
And yeah, Juno is one of them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's been nothing confirmed, but Amanda Seyfried seems to think that it'll be happening.
And it's probably the best thing that Megan Fox ever did.
Yeah, I have a question for you. And you don't have to answer this question. It's just a theoretical, hypothetical question for you. In the movie that she was in earlier this year, where she's a robot, what was that one called? It was this is not the hypothetical,
or something like that.
So in that movie, they make a point of showing that she has a UV light installed in the robot's mouth to clean her teeth. But she doesn't eat food because she's a robot. What is the UV light there for?
No comment.
What is it there for, Andy? Why is it there?
I'm not going to go there on a PG Cop podcast.
Well, I'll tell you where someone is going. Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason 10, Jason X. They're getting 4K releases coming from Arrow Video in May. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Andy. It's because of people like you. People who allow these things to keep getting money. Yeah.
I gave Jason X $1 because that's what I paid to go see it, and that's it. It barely is worth that.
Yeah.
And I should have gotten some change.
Yeah, you've seen
But
so many terrible
it's
movies.
funny. That movie's hilarious, and David Cronenberg's in it.
Is he really?
He's in like the first 10 minutes. Yeah, because he's one of these military people that they have Jason chained up, and like, well, he must have some strange healing powers, and we need to keep him under wraps and keep him alive and keep him in Area 51, and just sitting there laughing hysterically.
Area 51?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just realized how dumb Area 52 was in Venom the Last Dance. I just realized how stupid that is.
That's probably where Jason Voorhees is.
Oh my gosh. A man can... Jason Voorhees with the symbiote would be really a threat. Because he would actually move fast.
The whole thing with the nanotechnology and that too, and making him like Mega Jason, it's just too, and they rip off like so many other films in that too, and it's funny just watching it.
Well, if you want to see it in 4K,
no, don't need to.
So last little bit of news here: Madam Web has won the Razzie for worst movie of the year.
What a shock.
And somehow it won over Megalopolis.
But Francis Ford Coppola got worst director.
He got the most nominations, but he celebrated his win on Friday. He said this on Instagram. I'm thrilled to accept the Razzie Award in so many important categories for Megalopolis film, and for the distinctive honor of being nominated as the worst director, worst screenplay, and worst picture at a time when so few have the courage to go against the prevailing trends of contemporary movie making. In this wreck of a world today where, all caps, art is given scores as if it were professional wrestling, I choose, all caps, not to follow the gutless rules laid down by an industry so terrified of risk that despite the enormous pool of young talent at its disposal, may not create pictures that will be relevant and alive 50 years from now.
To the point that you made a film that's not going to matter like 2 years from now.
It was not relevant 50 minutes before it came out.
And Adam Driver will probably distance himself from that as much as humanly possible.
Who knows what Adam Driver will do? The man's a weirdo. I love him for it. But he picks weird movies. But yeah, Francis Ford Coppola is really is like, yes, good. I've done an art then because you don't get it. And I understand that he's an older gentleman, but it is generally the opinion of people who are in art school now who think that deconstructing art is itself art. It's not. If you walk in and you say like, hey, I've made a painting, and you go, well, no, that's the colors, like the tubes of paint laid at the bottom of a canvas. They go, but I've deconstructed it. You just don't get it. No, you're not an artist. You're a prick. Have you seen Hitler's paintings? They're pretty good.
I haven't.
They're pretty good. And he got denied from art school. And I'm bringing up Hitler because it's funny. But he got denied from art school doing stuff that people who are graduating with bachelors and masters in art can't reproduce.
Well,
we used to have standards. We used to be a country. No, wait, that was Austria.
I mean, you got to look back. There is a movie called Max with John Cusack. And I think it's Noah Fleiss that plays Hitler. And it's all about Hitler's early, like World War I, where he was a soldier. You see how he gets to where he ended up being, and the art school. Yeah. And John Cusack in that is art. He owns a gallery and does showings, and supports a lot of the local arts in Germany at the time. And it's a very interesting film because he came up with the whole aesthetic for the Third Reich on his own from what he was taught by the German government and army about propaganda and the use of propaganda and how to manipulate people. And so you see how he ended up the way that he did. It's not sympathetic to that.
Right,
so let me make that clear.
We're not humanizing Hitler.
Right. But it's an interesting story.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the downfall of a man from you're born as a baby not doing these things, and then how do you get there is fascinating. That's why true crime is so big. People love to know, why do people do these things? It's not like they did. Do you remember that movie, Look Who's Back? Oh, you don't know about this?
No.
You've given me the confused eyebrows. All right, let me blow your mind real quick. I think it's actually made in German language.
Okay.
Hitler gets brought back, right? And he wakes up in a field of flowers, and he gets up and he's like, es geht wie den Schlägen, nein. And he goes and meets up with someone, and they're like, Krakenswagen. And he's like, nah. And then what he does is throughout the course of this movie, in the modern world, Hitler restarts the Third Reich using the same things, and everyone falls for it again.
Yeah, it's called Donald Trump.
That may be giving that plan too much credit, but yeah, it's like it's so
well. At
it's
least
such a weird concept for a movie, but I thought it was fascinating.
At least it's not Iron Sky.
Oh, come on!
Have you heard of this one?
Oh, don't.
Oh,
I know Iron Sky, my friend.
Know
I know
okay.
Iron Sky. I know
Okay.
Iron Sky too.
And,
yeah. Oh yeah. Best movies that you could like, just fantastic.
I've seen Iron Sky. I've never seen Iron Sky 2. I know it exists.
Actually, did it actually come out? Because it was in development hell for a long time.
I thought it was like a direct to video.
Yeah, the coming race. There's dinosaurs and they're on the moon. What is this? Yeah, 2019 it came out. So yeah, but there was a 7-year gap. The first Iron Sky came out in 2012. I remember like Iron Sky came out around the same time that was it called Skyfall? Not Skyfall, but like Skyline.
Skyline.
It's called Skyline.
Okay.
Yeah,
Skyline.
Yeah. The follow up to that, incredibly bad. Just really, really terrible.
I didn't see it, but there was a reason.
Oh, goodness.
Skyline itself was not. And I only think I watched like half hour of that and I shut it off.
How'd you feel about Battle of Los Angeles?
I like that movie.
I like Battle of Los Angeles too.
It's got Aaron Eckhart, so I kind of hard not to like.
The only Hollywood star I've ever passed out in front of. Can't believe that happened. It was really hot that day, and I did not have enough water, and we were doing football stuff, and I am not a football player. Boy, howdy. I woke up with Two-Face looking at me going, what's wrong with you? Sucks.
And I know you haven't seen it, but you still need to see Thank You for Smoking.
Yes, need to see that. It's on the list. Things are maybe finally okay enough that I can start chipping away at that list. But, oh, goodness.
I think I'll set up the drive-in backyard of my house. You and Hannah can come over.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. That sounds fun. Okay, well, I think that's the end of a show. I think we did it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other news that we need to cover.
Nothing that I care about.
Yeah, that's true.
Hollywood people are doing Hollywood things, yada, yada. So, thanks for listening. We appreciate you all. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget, good, bad, great, or terrible, you can vote on Spotify for what you think. You can also let us know what you thought about each movie on our social media post at Grand Review Pod on Facebook and Instagram. Again, The Monkey will be coming out right before this podcast does. I am so sorry, but I can't promise it won't happen again, but I'm going to try my darn tootinest.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm making improvements this year. My darn tootinest is tootier than ever.
Okay. If you have anything for comments too, if anybody has any movies or something that you would like to recommend to us, that maybe I haven't seen,
try to stump Andy. I love this.
That might be hard, but I'm always on the lookout for something different to be watching. So like if you have any recommendations for us, or namely me, because I'll get to it before Garrett does, to be honest. Make sure you put it in there. I'd love to hear it and see what people are watching out there beside myself.
Send us your recommendations, and if you have something that you would like to see a sort of commentary or Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. We talk about it while we watch it, sort of thing.
We should do that with Snow White.
We absolutely should. Yeah, let us know what movies you want to see that done for, and that's something that it's down the line.
I don't know
it's
if legally we can do it though.
Oh, you can record. If we don't have the audio playing through the speakers and we go to headphones, we can record ourselves talking about it, and then just give a sync point for like start playing the Disney logo now. And then you can listen to the podcast while you watch it.
I wonder if we can sell tickets for that here. Like, start your. I'll go in front of the theater before it starts. Okay, now start your thing and listen to the.
There's a 5-minute silence lead-in that starts at this time. All right, you're good. Let's go.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
May God bless you all. And I guess that means there's only one thing left to say, and that is,
we'll see you at the movies.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all. Take care.